The wind blew from the south, hot, fierce, and poisonous. Across the sandy plains of Najran, dust swirled like restless spirits, and the sky glowed with a strange yellow hue where sunlight should have been. The city was unusually silent, the kind of silence that comes before a storm. The markets were empty, doors shut, and the air reeked of fear mixed with the scent of waiting. Everyone knew, the king, Du-Nuwas, was angry. Du-Nuwas, the so-called Lion of Yemen, did not look human that night. His tent was dimly lit, a single torch flickering, and in his eyes burned the same flame, the kind that could set a heart ablaze. His face was hard as stone, streaked with silver in his beard, but his tongue dripped with venom. He summoned his general. "I hear," he said slowly, "there's a new god in my city, a boy who claims he knows the path of truth." The general bowed his head. "Yes, my king. His name is Abdullah. He heals the sick, and people are gathering around him. He's no sorcerer. They call him a saint." Du-Nuwas let out a bitter laugh. "A saint? In my kingdom? Another god in my land? No, I will not allow it." That night, fire-colored clouds spread over Najran's sky. The king's soldiers rode out on horses, torches in hand. Doors were smashed, cries echoed in the streets, and the church bells rang like a warning. Abdullah sat calmly outside his tent, looking up at the heavens. There was no fear on his face, only peace. He knew destiny had arrived. When the soldiers came, he rose without a word. One of them met his eyes and instantly looked away. There was something inside that boy, something brighter than flame, faith. At the palace gate, Du-Nuwas looked at him once and smirked. "So, you're the one spreading chaos in my city, the enemy of my father's gods." Abdullah spoke softly. "I'm no enemy. I speak only of the Lord who owns the heavens and the earth." The king laughed coldly. "One Lord, only one. And what am I, then?" Abdullah met his gaze. "You are just a man who mistook himself for God." Those words cut deeper than any blade. The king snapped, "Throw him from the highest mountain. Let's see if his God saves him." The soldiers bound Abdullah, took him to a towering peak that kissed the clouds, and pushed him over the edge. But the wind turned violent. A storm rose from nowhere. Lightning cracked, and instead of shattering on the rocks, Abdullah landed softly on the grass below. The soldiers froze, faces pale. They returned trembling with the news. The king's fury shook the palace. "The mountain spared you. Then drown him in the river." Abdullah was taken in a boat, cast into the water, but the river refused to claim him. The current carried him gently to shore. Again the soldiers failed. The king roared, "Is this boy stronger than death itself?" When Abdullah was brought back, he stood calm, radiant. "O king," he said, "you cannot kill me. If you truly wish to, there is only one way. Strike me in the name of Allah, the One. But when you do, death will open its door for you as well." Du-Nuwas sneered, took an arrow, looked up at the sky, and said mockingly, "I kill you in the name of the one God." The arrow flew, piercing Abdullah's heart. For a moment, time froze. Then the earth trembled, the sky darkened, the pillars of the palace quaked, and lightning struck nearby. The king staggered back. It felt as if the air itself had died around him. But that was not the end. When the people of Najran heard of Abdullah's martyrdom, something ignited in them. Fear vanished. They no longer trembled before the king. Their faith burned brighter than any fire. Du-Nuwas, desperate to hide his defeat, ordered, "If he is dead, his followers will die too." The city gates were sealed. Soldiers dug deep trenches, long, dark pits, and filled them with oil. Flames roared skyward. Du-Nuwas sat on his throne, watching. His courtiers clapped and cheered, but behind their smiles hid unease. The first prisoner, an old man with white hair and a calm face, was brought forward. The king said, "Say it, is your God one?" The old man lifted his head. "Yes, one, and stronger than you." They threw him into the fire. The flames leapt, and a strange sweetness filled the air. Then came women, children, the young, each one repeating the same words, "Our God is one." The king gritted his teeth. The fire didn't fade. Every soul that burned made it blaze brighter. A woman arrived, holding her infant. She hesitated. The king mocked, "See, even she fears death." Suddenly the baby opened his eyes and spoke, "Mother, don't be afraid. We are on the side of truth." The woman took a deep breath, kissed her child, and leapt into the fire. The flames rose, but from their midst, light shone. The kind of light that only faith can create. Najran burned, yet above it the sky glowed clear, as if angels watched in silence, bearing witness to the sacrifice. For days, smoke covered the sky. The earth was scorched, but the scent of faith still lingered. The edges of the pits were blackened ash. Du-Nuwas sat on his throne, face proud but eyes restless. He knew something had changed. He had killed thousands, but fear now lived inside him. At night, in the stillness, he would sometimes hear a whisper, a child's voice saying, "Mother, don't be afraid. We are on the side of truth." He would wake suddenly, stare at the flickering torch, and mutter, "I am the king. I am wrath itself. No one can bring me down." But deep inside, something hollow trembled. In the ruins of Najran, one man survived, Dors du Thurlaban. He had seen everything. Crawling through the ashes, he escaped under the cover of night. By day he hid among rocks, by night he followed the moonlight. The memory of the burning pits seared his mind. He wasn't fleeing to save his life, he was running to save the truth. After months, he reached Rome. At the city gates, soldiers stopped him, ragged, burned, barely standing. He was taken before Caesar. The emperor sat on a golden throne in a hall of marble and mirrors. Dors bowed low. "Who are you?" Caesar asked. "I am from Najran," Dors whispered, "the city where faith was burned alive." The court fell silent. Dors told the story. The fire pits, the martyrs, the woman and her child, Abdullah's death, the king's arrogance. When he finished, Caesar sat in silence, then said, "Such evil cannot be left unavenged." He wrote a letter, a royal decree, a plea for justice, and sent it to the king of Abyssinia, Najashi. Months later, clouds gathered over the sea. From the shores of Abyssinia, 1,000 ships set sail. Their sails were black, like wings of death. Leading them was a general named Arbat, eyes blazing with vengeance. "We will plant the flag of justice on Najran's ashes," he vowed. The ocean shimmered, the sky thundered. When the Abyssinian army landed on Yemen's coast, the ground quaked. Horses thundered through the desert. Spies ran to the palace. "O king, fire rises from the sea." Du-Nuwas laughed bitterly. "I too am fire. Let's see whose flame burns higher." But that night, he couldn't sleep. Through the window he saw the sea glowing faintly, the light of enemy ships. He whispered, "If there is a God, why does he stay silent now?" Only silence answered. The next day, the battlefield awaited. Two armies faced each other. Pride burned on Du-Nuwas's face, but unease gnawed at his heart. His soldiers shouted, "Victory for the Jews!" But the wind had already changed sides. Arbat rode forward on his horse, raising his sword. "This field belongs not to swords, but to truth. You burned the innocent who spoke it. Today that fire will consume you." Du-Nuwas laughed. "I made fire my servant." The war began. Blades clashed from dawn till dusk. Blood stained the sand. Screams filled the air. But by evening, Du-Nuwas's army was broken. His horse fell. He tumbled to the ground. Around him, his soldiers scattered. He looked to the sky, as if waiting for an answer. Then he smiled, a weary, defeated smile. "If I couldn't defeat God, then let the sea take me." He mounted his horse, galloped to the shore, and rode straight into the raging waves, vanishing beneath them. The Abyssinian army entered the city. The fires died, but the embers of faith still glowed. The children of Najran, whose parents had been burned alive, were now free. Their eyes held no tears, only resolve. When Arbat stood in the city square and declared, "This land will no longer belong to tyranny but to truth," the clouds parted. The sun returned, and the air filled with the same fragrance that once lingered during Abdullah's prayers. Yemen became part of the Christian kingdom of Abyssinia, but in the soil of Najran lay a story that lived for centuries, the story of faith that no fire could destroy. Whenever believers recite Surah al-Buruj, they remember those trenches, not as graves, but as flames that lit the hearts of humankind. And when the night wind sweeps over Najran's ashes, it still whispers, "Mother, don't be afraid. We are on the side of truth." That voice was born in the fire, and lives forever in every heart that believes. It was the end of Du Nuas's cruelty, and the beginning of faith's eternal rise. The fire that once blazed in the trenches now burns as a light within mankind.